As most people would say, a UFO kind of looks like a light formation in the distant sky, right? That's usually what we think. What they won't say, though, is that a UFO looks like a missile coming right for you in the cockpit. Unless, of course, they are crew members on board a Homeland Security flight over California. Those guys will tell you exactly what they saw, and it sure did not look or act of this world. A year ago, February, they took evasive action when a football-like Tic Tac came out of nowhere, heading straight for them. Thinking it was a missile, they ducked the aircraft to the left to avoid a head-on collision and raised the right wing so that the thing could pass right underneath them. And while they reported it right away, they did not talk about it publicly until now. Here is an animated recreation of the sighting with the actual audio of the encounter attached.
Troy 2-1, go ahead.
It's not weird, but I just had something pass underneath my wing, maybe like a football-sized object right underneath our wing.
Troy 2-1, Roger. Do you think it was a drone or?
I have no idea. I got my sensor operator looking for it on the camera right now. We'll see if we can find it. But it's like a dark gray cylindrical object, and it was probably the size of a football, and it passed maybe 10 feet under our right wing.
Troy 2-1, Roger. Thank you for the report. Keep me advised if you find anything else out.
Yeah, we'll do. We're looking for it now.
We got that animation from Ben Hansen, who's the host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus. The people on that plane vouched for that animation, saying that is exactly what the incident looked like. Ben just interviewed a crew member, and Ben is here with me now live to talk about it. Holy cow. Wow, Ben, first of all, kudos to you for getting a crew member to talk, because that's one of the hardest things in this whole mystery, right, is to get somebody who's an actual witness to describe it, especially a reliable witness like these guys. But it's amazing that they described what they saw as thinking it was a surface-to-air missile.
Yeah, so it was actually that first NewsNation breaking news that we did with you that got them to connect with me. And I wanted to verify, because there is no video actually of this. They did try to attempt to video this with a camera that sits underneath the nose and the belly, but they didn't have time. I mean, this thing basically came at them at a 1 or 12 o'clock position, and first appeared as a glint, like a flash. And then in an instant, the pilot had looked down at what they call the TCAS, which is their scope that tells them other air traffic in the area, didn't see anything, looks back up. And within that about 2 seconds, the thing has closed the distance so quickly that he instinctively reacts. In his mind, he's thinking someone is shooting a surface-to-air missile at us. So he takes evasive action.
Okay, so then the next thing that's fascinating about that video, if we were to play the whole thing out long, is that these pilots are communicating with the ground and saying, this thing turned around and started coming back for us. That's my very inarticulate way of describing it. But tell me what they said happened when the thing, the Tic Tac, whatever it is, came back for them.
So forgive the crudity of the model, but I didn't have time to have my animator redo the video. So here we have a model that's not the real plane, right, the type, but it's flying along. And as this Tic Tac is a jelly bean, actually, is heading towards them, they instinctively turn off the autopilot. So this sets off an alarm, instantly wakes up all the crew, what's going on, and banks to the left. Okay, so he pops up this wing enough because he thinks he's in a collision with this object. It passes, he believes, either directly under him or slightly off. It continues on behind them. So he gets the sensor operator involved, and they have a very sophisticated radar on board. See if you can find this thing. Well, that's where they believe they tracked an object, their same altitude, 20,000 feet, 60 miles behind them. In a couple of seconds, that object then jumps to about 20 miles closer to them, back to 30 or 40, and then again to 10. It's like it's playing hopscotch back and forth and they have no idea what this is.
So obviously, I think most important question here would be, how did this crew member react, and what have they done with this information since, and how were they received delivering the news about what they went through?
Well, first of all, as we always say, in incidents like this, it is a safety of flight issue. And that's why they called LA Center, the air traffic control, to report to them what just happened, right? They did their best to try and document, to try and record this thing. They're really concerned about it. It doesn't make sense that over California, you'd have a surface to air missile coming at you. But instinctively, I've been flying as a pilot, and I've had like a bird come towards my wing and pop that wing up really quick so I don't collide with it. That's a concern. Nobody should be flying at 20,000 feet unidentified. And this object had no means of visible propulsion. There was no smoke, no streak, no anything as it passes by. So how is it flying? And how is it going several times the speed of sound? And then hopping back and forth? It reminds us of the Navy Tic Tac video in 2004. Right? And they described that on radar covering 60 miles in mere seconds. So same, California coastline, same kind of description, a lot of similarities. Everyone's baffled about it. And we're hoping that officials take this seriously and look into it.
Well, like I said, you can't get a more reliable witness than a crew from Homeland Security, pilots who literally had to protect themselves against it in terms of reporting. You and I are not finished talking about this. So what's interesting also, Alex, in the year, almost the year that has passed, is that something else has begun to happen, they say, now inside the home. And they're very afraid of what they have been, what they say that they have been witnessing inside their home. Can you describe what it is they're telling you?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why Angel has pivoted from calling what he saw that night an alien instead, now calling it a demon, because he feels like he's seeing so much paranormal activity and just strange, unexplainable things happening inside of his home. There was two anecdotes, one in particular that we're about to show you that literally made the hairs on my arms stand up just because it is so freaky, so unexplainable. We have a segment of that part of the conversation.
You mentioned paranormal activity. What exactly did you see?
Well, I was in another room. My brother called me, and there was a upside-down cross, and there was a Jesus statue in it. They ripped Jesus out of it. They threw him like across the room, and it was floating upside down.
Are you saying floating in the air?
Yeah, like in the air. It was floating upside down.
What did you do? I mean, did you go and pick it up? Did you knock it down? Like how?
No, I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting there. I was crazy. I was like, what?
But how did it come down? It's not still floating right now, is it?
No, it came down. So we got closer to it, and then dropped.
It fell to the ground. A crucifix,
yeah,
floating in the air, upside down. The Jesus on the crucifix had been ripped off,
yeah,
and it was floating.
Yep.
And you can say definitively, without lies, that that is what you saw.
Yes. Swear to God, that's what I saw.
What do you believe that is? How could something like that happen? That's not physically possible in this world.
And that's just one story of many stories of paranormal activity that's happened inside this house, according to Angel. He said that the family has had to take some really drastic measures to make themselves feel safe within their home. We're going to talk more about all of that paranormal activity tomorrow night on Banfield.
And one last question about just what their house, has become, because, typically people are rabid about stuff like this, and people will come from all corners of not just the country but the earth to visit places like this. Have they been inundated with tourists and looky-loos and people who are not maybe as kind as they should be when they arrive on the property?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, as you mentioned, this story sparked global attention. So everybody started coming to this house to get a peek at the backyard, hoping to catch a sight of a UFO or an alien or a demon, whatever it was back there. And so that's the reason why you see so many no trespassing signs. If you just look in the distance, you see one on the window, there's one on the garage. On their front door, there's a no trespassing sign, also a concealed carry sign that says that, we will protect our property. So in the end, this has caught a lot of attention, and so much so that they're seeing around 4 or 5 cars almost each and every day, people stopping by, people even jumping over the fence, breaking into their home, trying to do whatever they can to catch a glimpse.
So distressing. Alex Capriello, thank you. I know we've got more reporting ahead, so I appreciate the time that you've taken out there all this time after the instance itself. Thank you. And, you know, we all know that anything can be faked in this day and age, right? Just like anything. But so too can it be investigated and dissected and analyzed and picked apart using state-of-the-art technology. So we enlisted an internationally renowned expert in evidence and crime scene reconstruction to examine that Las Vegas video. And we thought surely he would have some answers, and he did. They just weren't the answers that we were expecting.
The objects that we were seeing, they were spherical, and they were observed up to Mach 2, which is a very non-aerodynamic shape.
It actually had two little objects that came out of the bottom of it. But other than that, no windows, no seams, no nothing.
It's not just military pilots who are seeing UAPs in the skies. For decades, civilians on the ground have reported sightings from coast to coast. And like pilots, citizens have often faced stigma and ridicule when they tried to report what they saw. One of the most infamous mass sightings happened in the Berkshires back in 1969, when thousands of people reported seeing strange objects in the sky or sometimes just hovering directly overhead. The event was featured on the Netflix reboot of the docuseries Unsolved Mysteries.
Like it was daylight.
The man in that episode is Tom Reed, and he joins me live. Tom, we spoke on Monday ahead of the hearing. Yes. What's your reaction now that you've heard the testimony today?
You know, I can't remember the last time that I could say I was actually proud of my congressman. Tim Burchett was fantastic. I think Congress seemed to have this renewed vigor, and it was just reassuring to see them take this topic so seriously, collectively seriously.
They did, and they all did, you're right, in a very bipartisan way. David Grush said under oath at the hearing that not only were these sightings common, but they feel people can't speak out. Let's listen to his part of that testimony.
These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses.
That was actually pilot Ryan Graves who was testifying about that, about pilot stigma. You actually say your entire town was divided over the mass sighting in 1969 between those who saw and believed and those who didn't.
Yeah, it was a tough go for a while, but so many saw it that I think that everyone kind of knew a grandmother or a child or a friend who had seen something. So it was tough, but you're right. There really is nowhere to go to get answers or a call you can make or a group that you can really go to say, look, I saw this. What do I do? And you have some answers for me. So you're kind of left hanging, you know, on your own.
You also say that you and your family, you didn't just see something, you were physically impacted by whatever you saw in the sky. I want to play another part of the hearing where there's testimony discussing this kind of phenomena.
Okay.
Does the United States believe that there may be life outside of Earth?
I don't have a position on that one way or the other to speak to today. What we believe is that there are unexplained aerial phenomena that have been cited and reported by pilots, Navy and Air Force, that these phenomena have, in some cases, had an impact on our training ranges.
All right, that was not the right soundbite. That was John Kirby, who was also talking about the impact that sometimes these sightings have. At the hearing, there was discussion about the fact that some pilots felt physically reacted, and you had the same experience. Describe it for me.
Oh yeah, when we came within contact, there were three objects. We were in the middle of almost like a diamond type of thing, and or a pyramid, and it was almost as if there was a communication going on between the spheres themselves and probably the craft, maybe even that was in front of our vehicle. But when we got to the middle of these three objects, it felt like we were deep underwater, like someone just took us and shoved us at the bottom of a swimming pool, where these sounds just echoed, like when you tap on a side of a pool. That's kind of why I mentioned a pool, where it just kind of seemed extremely loud, where everything else was muted. And then there was this flash of light, and then, you know, the crickets and the Acadians erupted and then went completely silent, like someone just flipped a switch off on life itself. It was that extreme. And then we came back to feeling ourselves again. And it all happened within, a moment's time to some degree.
But to all of you collectively.
Yes.
What you're about to hear is the voices of the pilot and air traffic controllers, and it's set to computer animation. Take a look.
LA Center, Troy 2-1.
Troy 2-1, go ahead.
It's not weird, but I just had something pass underneath my wing, maybe like a football-sized object right underneath our wing.
Troy 2-1, Roger. Do you think it was a drone or?
I have no idea. I got my sensor operator looking for it on the camera right now. We'll see if we can find it. But it's like a dark gray cylindrical object, and it was probably the size of a football, and it passed maybe 10 feet under our right wing.
Troy 2-1, Roger. Thank you for the report. Keep me advised if you find anything else out.
Yeah, we'll do. We're looking for it now. And so, correction. LA Center, Troy 2-1. We got something on air-to-air radar. We're trying to get visual on it.
Troy 2-1, Roger.
And LA Center 094 bearing from us for about 60 miles is where it is now.
Troy 2-1, say again.
094 bearing from us about 60 miles away is where we're picking it up now.
LA 15, Oakland.
Troy 2-1, Roger, thank you.
All right, this guy was stopped at 14 for him because we were busy. There was some UFO reported here, but that's all taken care of now, so you don't have to worry about it unless you want to talk to Aaron. It was earlier, but it's gone.
I may not have to worry about it, but I am plenty worried about it. This is where I call in Ben Hansen to help me make heads or tails of this. Ben is a former FBI special agent and host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus. He managed to secure that recording that you just heard because it was not made available to the public. Ben, what is your take?
This is a really interesting case. It was actually the air traffic controller who reported it to the National UFO Reporting Center, or NUFORC. So NUFORC is actually cited in the FAA regs as one of the places where pilots can go to make reports. So first, we want to thank the controller for reporting it, and also for the pilots. This was a Homeland Security flight, actually. So they were on, I don't want to say covert, but they were on a mission, probably doing drug interdiction or something like that. And they're flying along and they see this thing. So very experienced pilots. Now, this particular aircraft, too, is a Beechcraft 350C, which they've converted to include a very sensitive and complex radar array. So you see that dome on the top of it. It's actually there to track, drug traffickers and things like that. So when they call this thing in, this is about 2:30 in the afternoon. It's September 17th of last year. It's broad daylight. They got a good look at this thing, cylindrical, dark object that passes underneath their wings so close. So, I mean, obviously you can see there's big problems with that happening in controlled airspace like they were, and they weren't notified of any air traffic that was supposed to be in the area.
So the animation, by the way, it's so realistic, I was caught off guard. Was that sort of made with the help of those who witnessed it so that it's as accurate as it can be?
Well, in this case, my team has not spoken with the crew, as you can imagine, because the sensitivity of probably what they were doing on this mission, it wouldn't benefit them to come forward to talk to the public quite yet. We'd encourage it, yes, but this was our rendering of just based on the audio that we had. It's a guess, right? That object could have gone underneath from left to right, forward to back. We don't know, but we do know their description is pretty exact.
I'm also sort of gobsmacked by 20,000 feet because I don't think that ground-controlled, unmanned flights can operate at that altitude. Call me crazy. I think at one point they asked if it was a drone. What's the word on the possibility of some kind of a drone activity?
So it could be. It'd be very rare, but hobby drones can go up that high. Obviously, military can as well. This occurred near what we call military operations area, but it was not in that airspace. So anyone who was flying something to test a commercial type of drone or something would have had to call in. Now, the other thing that's very interesting about this is you hear them call out what they believe they're tracking this object about 60 miles away because they've got their own airborne radar. And the pilot calls back to air traffic control, says, we think we have it. Now, debatable whether their radar array could see something this small at 60 miles. But if true, within the 2 minutes when they called back, that would place this object going about Mach 2. Okay, from them to gain that much distance in that amount of time. So that would absolutely, in my opinion, eliminate any prosaic explanation of a drone or anything of that nature.
Morning. Thank you, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett, and members of the task force for giving us the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jeffrey Nusatelli. I'm a former military police officer with 16 years of active duty service in the U.S. Air Force. I'm here today because the American people have both the right and the responsibility to know the truth about unidentified aerial phenomenon. That truth remains hidden, classified and silenced by fear, retaliation, stigma, and confusion. Today, we are here to help break that silence. Between 2003 and 2005, 5 UAP incidents occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base, home to the National Missile Defense Project, a top national security priority. At the time, we were conducting launches deemed by the National Reconnaissance Office as the most important in 25 years. These were historic launches. These facilities were vital, and they were repeatedly visited by UAP. Each incident was witnessed by multiple personnel, documented, investigated, and reported up the chain of command. We sent information up, but we got no guidance down on how to handle these events. I personally witnessed one of these events and investigated others as they occurred. 6 other service members have provided me with the information that I will share with you today. The incursions began on October 14, 2003, when Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. After several minutes, it drifted further east onto the base and vanished over the hills. This event, now known as the Vandenberg Red Square, was referenced by Representative Luna at the first hearing on this topic. Official Air Force records of this event are in possession by Aero and the FBI. Later that night, while I was on duty, security guards at a critical launch site reported a bright, fast-moving object over the ocean. I responded to the incident. Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us, and now it's right here." Moments later, I heard them say that it had shot off and was gone. When I arrived on scene, I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft larger than a football field that hovered silently for about 45 seconds over their entry control point before shooting away at impossible speed. About a week later, another patrol reported a light over the ocean behaving erratically. Believing it might be an unannounced aircraft, they declared an emergency, and an armed response force responded. Before the forces could arrive, the object descended and either landed or hovered on our flight line and then took off again at impossible speed. The witnesses to this event were threatened and intimidated afterward. They were told to keep quiet and think about what they were reporting. After that, things did get quiet until about 2005, when another patrol reported a massive triangular craft larger than a C-130 silently floating over the installation. He watched it for a few minutes. It traveled west and disappeared into the night. And then I had my own encounter, again in 2005. I was off duty, sitting in my backyard with 2 other police officers when we noticed what first appeared to be a satellite in orbit, but it wasn't acting like a satellite. The light was strange, it was pulsing, and then it started to maneuver. It dropped in elevation. At times it would vanish from view and reappear in a different location in the sky, and eventually it reappeared 200 feet over my house It was a 30-foot diameter sphere of light. My friends and I watched it for a moment, and then it gently accelerated and traveled up and disappeared into the stars. These events profoundly changed my life and the lives of my friends. We stand at a pivotal moment in history. The question is no longer whether these events are real, but whether we have the courage to face them. True leadership requires vision, a willingness to confront the unknown with transparency and resolve. So I ask the Congress to help we, the people, enact this vision. There are 3 goals: fund independent research and treat UAP study with the same seriousness as we would any other scientific field. 2, end secrecy and overclassification. Transparency is the foundation of truth. Without it, witnesses like us are dismissed. 3, protect the witnesses. Many stay silent out of fear for their careers, reputations, and the safety of their families. Protect them, and you will embolden others to join this cause. These phenomena challenge our deepest assumptions about reality, consciousness, and our place in the universe. Exploring them can unlock transformative breakthroughs in technology, biology, and human understanding. Let this be the moment when America chooses courage over fear, transparency over secrecy, and progress over stagnation. Let's show the world that our nation leads not only through strength, but through fearless pursuit of the truth. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.